I am, go through my resume a little bit, but here to speak about business-to-business marketing, business-to-business sales, how corporations work in the business world, and how to talk to them, and knowing all the ins and outs of that kind of thing. I think I've read through your textbook a little bit, chapters 3, 4, and 5, and I'll try and mix in some of that information, but interrupt myself. There is a sign-in sheet. Please sign your name, and otherwise, teacher won't know you're here. That's not good. So, anyway, welcome. Thank you, and I'm pleased to be here. Never done this before, so please bear with the new guy. But as I said, my name's Joe Eichler. 30. Gosh, I'll tell you when I got my first full-time job. I graduated in 1984. I'm a chemist by degree, BS in chemistry, from a small university called DeSales University in Center Valley, PA. Never wanted to go to a big school. This would be a big school in my mind versus Ohio State or one of those mammoth schools, but always wanted the small classroom size, and I got what I wanted there. So 1984, graduated with a BS in chemistry. Spent the, let's say, June to August kind of loafing around the house, living off mom's meal ticket, visiting the beach every weekend. Vida loca, you know, it was a good time. Until eventually you got that kick in the butt, and mom said, "About time you use that degree for something." So I did. And you also, you ran out of that graduation money pretty quickly. So I decided to get a job. Literally answer ad in a newspaper. There was no internet. There was no, Monster.com or any of that stuff back then. And it was a company that was in the recycling business. I'm like, this is 1980s now. Recycling. Sounds like a business that would probably have a little bit more of a long-lasting thing. I could go and work for any chemical company in the world and be a big corporate guy or whatever, put on the lab coat, but let's try something different. So I did, and a first-time job. Beggars can't be choosers, right? Who wanted to pay the bill? Who wanted to give me the paycheck? That's what I'm going with. So anyway, that's where I started, 1984, and my first job was with a company which is now defunct. I would call them an environmental management company. And what they did, they recycled things, notably recycled chemicals. This is cool. So you take chemical from some chemical plant over here. We make a product. We have a waste material, byproduct, let's call it. Okay, it's a liquid tanker of whatever, chemical mixture. What can we do with that? Well, back then, before the environmental laws, and this isn't a discussion about environmental laws, people used to throw it in the ocean. People used to just bury it in their background, out of sight, out of mind, we don't care. So until that happened, until they formed environmental laws, nobody knew what to do with these things. So keep that in mind. That's where we were back then. Anyway, I donned a lab coat day one, 1984. Was a chemist for this company, and I used to analyze what was in that tanker of waste and said, oh, we can do this with it, or we can do that with it, or we can do something to make it less toxic, or, God forbid, resell it to somebody. You're getting paid by client one, getting paid by client two. I'm taking their waste, getting paid, fixing it, sending it out as a off-spec material to this guy. Kind of neat. Get paid on both ends. Interesting. So we did that. This was a for-profit company. This wasn't the EPA. This wasn't Greenpeace or any company like that. This was a for-profit company. There were no bones about it. We were there to make in business to make money. So after about 2 years of that, and again, this is the early days of environmental regulations. Just a quick background. 1978, the RCRA, Resource Conservation Recovery Act, was passed, and that basically said, you're the polluter, you're chemical company X, you are responsible for your waste from cradle, when you make it, to grave, until it's destroyed. Now how do we get rid of it? We bury it in the landfill, or we burn it, or we detoxify it somehow by doing some sort of chemical reaction. Anyway, that's where that law was. I'm a chemist, I'm wearing a lab coat. My boss was the sales manager. Why? Because he would go out there and he was the rainmaker. He would go out to the chemical company X over here and say, we can take your chemical, recycle it, and sell it to somebody else. You pay me that much. It's out of sight, out of mind. But it's a hard thing to explain to a person who wasn't technical. I had the gift of gab. I had the ability to explain science to the non-scientist. How about that? And explain the laws a little bit. To me, knowing what acetone or methyl ethyl ketone was, okay, it's second nature. I've seen that stuff. I've seen it in the laboratory many times. I know what it does. I know what it's to do. I don't know, but it's bad for me, and I have to get rid of it according to my clients. So let me guide you through this process. So consulting, giving knowledge for product. Okay? So why do we do these things now? Anyway, back to my resume. So I'm there. I am teaching science to non-scientists in a very young, dynamic industry. And mergers and acquisitions occur. And this company gets bought by somebody else, and now it's like, okay, got to find a job. So I did that. I've done that for about, well, this is 2019, 35 years. So in various roles and whatnot. So, but one thing I learned is business, no matter if you're selling environmental consulting services or hazardous waste recycling services, call it what you want, or you're selling lemonade on the corner. It's not really rocket scientist. I have a younger sister who's ventured into the hair salon business, and she worked for Great Clips or one of those places, and it went belly up. She said, fine, I'm gonna join her friend, and they started their own business. And it was like, XYZ hair salon. I said, Mary Beth, don't be scared. If you can manage a checkbook, you can balance a budget, pretty simple. It's not that difficult to run a business. So just spend this much money and make this much money, and hopefully this pile's bigger than that. And you made a profit, right? Pretty simple. So business is business, no matter what you're doing. So anyway, I started off with waste management, how to handle the hazardous waste from chemical company X. So I saw a bigger market in environmental management. Like, okay, for the past 40 years, this guy wasn't just shipping it to me, it was buried in his backyard. That's where things like Superfund sites came about. You know what that term means, anybody? Yeah. Superfund sites are basically toxic dumps that, because we didn't know any better back then in the 1940s and 50s and 60s and 70s, post World War II, people just bury their stuff in the backyard, create their own landfill, cover up with dirt, plant some grass seed, and okay, we're just going to continue to make our chemicals over here. In the meantime, that stuff's into the groundwater, including his backyard. Bad stuff. So that's where the EPA got involved. The initiation of the EPA and all those things. So the post-World War II Industrial Revolution led to a lot of factories, a lot of plants in the United States, and with that comes pollution. Now what am I doing? Okay, so I used to clean up their properties, used to handle their waste, then I got into cleaning up their properties. Now we're in America, and everything's about money. And the chemical company that used to make chemicals in a plant in New Jersey doesn't make chemicals there anymore. Why? Because they got cheaper labor somewhere else. And now we're making the same chemicals in India or China or somewhere else. So, okay, so what do we do with that old plant in New Jersey? We tear it down. We cleaned it up because it usually has a legacy. So this is a long story about where I went from soup to nuts. So B2B selling. Here I am talking to